Well, it's my great pleasure today. Let me just bring up my notes here. It's my great pleasure today to introduce lifelong educator, ComECH chairman and volunteer, member of countless educational and other nonprofit boards of directors, activists, governance guru, proud Quebecer, and my personal friend, Brian Rock. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you for that welcome, Dave. Looking forward to this interview.
So we always start with the questions for context about your background. So we'll start out by asking you, where were your parents born?
My mother was born in Poland and immigrated to Montreal when she was 12 years old with her younger sister. My father was born in the city of Lachine on the island of Montreal of Polish immigrant parents.
Okay, and where were you born?
I was born in the city of Lachine.
Okay, and where did you receive your education? Elementary, secondary, and any post-secondary?
Well, the elementary school was right across the street from where we were living, Central Park School in Lachine. And then secondary grades 8 to 11 were at John Grant High School in Lachine. And since it was the last year before the introduction of the CGES system, I went to grade 12 at the High School of Montreal on University Street in Montreal. From there, I did my Bachelor of Arts honors in political science. At that time, it was Loyola College, which was part of Université de Montréal. And then did my Master of Education in Administrative Studies and the Principal's Professional Certificate at Bishop's University in Lennoxville. And finally, my diploma in education and certificate in reading instruction at McGill University.
And what is your occupation?
Well, as you had mentioned before, I'm a retired school principal and secondary teacher of English language arts and the history of Quebec and Canada.
Okay, and where do you live now?
I live in the Elmer sector of the city of Gatineau in Western Quebec. It's only 15 minutes away across the bridge to Parliament Hill in Ottawa.
Okay, now we're going to move on to questions concerning your experience living in Quebec today. And I will start out by asking you, what in your mind is the best thing about living in Quebec?
Well, it's living joie de vivre and interchanging with Anglophones, Francophones, and Allophones.
Okay, and describe your relationship to Quebec in a single word.
Home.
And where do you feel most at home in Quebec? For example, in communities based on language, culture, profession, or geographic location?
Well, being born in the city of Lachine, I've worked in Baie-Comeau, sur la Côte-Nord, and in New Richmond in la Gaspésie. And now I'm retired in Elmer in the Outaouais sector, and always getting along with Anglophones, Francophones, and Allophones.
Okay. Now, how would you define a Quebecer? And do you think the official definition in Quebec includes you?
Well, a Quebecer to me is a person living in Quebec, no matter what their background is. And yes, indeed, born a Quebecer with no intention of leaving.
Okay. Now, has your sense of identity as a Quebecer changed over the years? And if so, in what ways?
Well, my French has improved over the years to the extent that I'm very comfortable having a conversation with my Francophone neighbors who do not speak much English.
What are some of the most difficult things in your mind about living in Quebec?
Well, I believe that the government services are not as readily available in English as they once were. And especially in the areas of health, social services, and dealing with the provincial government bureaucracy.
Okay. Now, in recent years, some members of Quebec's Francophone majority have identified a number of linguistic and cultural threats. Which of these concerns do you share and support? And which of these concerns make you feel excluded or targeted?
Well, personally, I don't believe that French is in any way threatened in the province of Quebec. And I've read that in a poll conducted last year that some 94% of adult Quebecers can have a conversation with their neighbors in French. I believe the government of Quebec should take measures to improve the literacy rate of adult Quebecers, as recent studies also report that half of adult Quebecers have difficulty reading Le Journal de Montréal with full meaning, and that newspaper requires a reading level of no more than, say, 6th grade elementary.
Okay, Brian, I'm going to stop there. We're having